Welcome to London Bridge YouTube channel. Today we are together with Patty. Patty, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hi.
It's a pleasure to be with you here today, and welcome to our garage, by the way.
Nice car.
Yeah, it is. Patty, can you tell us more about yourself as a start?
Yes, sure. So I am English originally, but I've lived out of England for more than half of my life. I grew up in Belgium and America and lived for a long time in Australia and a few other places. So now I really enjoy working internationally and helping people who want to work internationally, because I've seen for myself that it's really interesting and it gives me a lot of energy working in that space, and I want to be able to share those opportunities with others.
So how did you start doing business in the UK, and what's your current services? What's your services you're providing?
At the moment, I work as I work in cultural diversity, specifically in the diversity and inclusion. So helping people engage with both customers and employees from different cultural backgrounds to themselves. So, do
you mean the international people who are trying to do business in the UK, or it's like a
both? So people who are leaving the UK to work internationally, and people who are coming to the UK from international.
Both the professionals and the entrepreneurs?
Yes, absolutely. So because every business relationship starts with a conversation between two people.
Yes.
It might start with an email actually, and you can make lots of mistakes in that sort of. But at some point quite early in the relationship, there are going to be two people having a conversation. So, and people can create quite the wrong impression that, they think they are making the right impression, and actually they're doing something which is very rude in that country, or any other problems sort of like that. So, so what I do is help prepare people for their move so that they are more likely to have success there. So, it's a little bit like running a marathon. You've got to keep practicing. Yes, you've got to do your preparation.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, and it also it is something that you just have to keep practicing, and something that you do automatically. So, for example, your sales style that in another country, in France, you might have a particular way that you go about selling your goods and services to people, and it works for you, and you are successful there. And you might think, well, I'll just go to England, I'll keep doing that because that's my style and it works. But it doesn't necessarily work in another country.
It's the main delusion, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a bit like saying, well, English works really well for me in England, so I'll just keep speaking English.
So, Patty, if you don't mind, can you give us small tips about, doing business, interacting with people in the UK?
Yes, absolutely. I think, as we all know, the UK is potentially a hugely profitable market, but it's a really difficult market. So one of the issues is that people are, I would say, quite risk averse here and quite traditional. And so they move slowly. They don't like to make a decision too quickly. They like to think about things, and they absolutely don't want to be pushed into making a decision. So they really want to have time to think about it. And the more that somebody tries to hurry them into making a decision, the more they will, we say, dig their heels in, and they'll just say, no, like, I'm ready in my own time. And so that's really a key learning, I think, for anyone wanting to come here. The other is the way in which we tend to keep business and social quite separate here. So there's a little bit of overlap, but not much. So, for example, somebody coming from a South American country, Brazil, for example, they might look to build a much closer personal relationship with somebody that they wanted to sell their goods to in the UK. But actually, the UK person wouldn't want that. So in Brazil, you would spend time having dinner, playing golf, going horse riding, to get to know each other as people. Yeah. But in the UK, if you suggest that, people are like, why would I do that?
That's the reason.
I only want to buy your cardboard boxes. I don't want to go horse riding with you, So that's, a bit like I was saying before, there are things that you just do automatically, and you think, well, this is great. This is how the system works. But the systems are completely different in different countries.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. So you're also providing services to your customers, and also you need to find the customers as well. So how you reach your customers, how you value your customers or services?
For me personally, I find networking the most effective. So that's face-to-face networking, because what I do is about people. And so it makes sense to me to go and talk to people, to have face-to-face interactions, because you get a lot more opportunity to build rapport, to start to build trust between people. It happens a lot more quickly, providing you're doing it the right way. But I also maintain quite a good online presence, so I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I have a regular newsletter. I send out a little podcast.
Content is the king.
It is about content, but it's also actually about staying in people's minds.
Yes.
Because I find, because business develops slowly here, it's very easy to have a conversation with someone and you come away from the meeting thinking, well, that was good.
Yeah.
But if I'm not a priority for them, I just slip down the to-do list.
It is.
And a year later, I think, what happened to that? So I've started doing this newsletter, and it's very short. And what I do is I pick a story from the news, something that has happened, anywhere, and I talk about the impact that it might have on your business.
So you customize it with respect to your services and create a valuable content for people to take
and so
care.
People think, well, that's fun and that's interesting, and they enjoy reading it. So, for example, the first one I did was a story about women in Japan being told that they weren't allowed to wear glasses because it was not feminine, right? So even air hostesses, which was a bit worrying. So, but what I did was I used that as an opportunity to talk about the embedded sexism in Japan, and therefore what a problem that was going to be for a woman wanting to go and work in Japan. So,
yeah, definitely.
And that newsletter just helps keep me in touch. So it's a very low key sell. So
how people can be a member of your newsletters? Do you have a email?
Yes, they can go to my website, or they can email me. If they go to my website, culturalchemistry.co.uk, they can email me and sign up for the newsletter.
Great.
But something like that works well in the UK because you're giving somebody something. You're not just getting in touch, for no reason. But in somewhere like Japan, for example, people would call in and see their customers, and they would just go in and talk about golf and things for a while, and just to maintain the warmth of the relationship, which is something that, in the UK you think, well, I don't waste my time if you haven't actually got something for me. It's great to see you, but 5 minutes is enough.
It is. It is the differences, we form up.
That's right. And I think, in Mediterranean countries, it is a lot more about that interpersonal relationship.
Definitely.
And you don't just catch up with a quick phone call, how is it? Is there anything I need? Is there anything I can give you? It's, shall we have lunch and catch up? And then we actually spend a bit more time talking, and then opportunities come from that. So I think it's quite challenging for people who come from those relationship countries, to come to somewhere like the UK. It can feel quite cold and quite difficult to build relationships with people, because people kind of seem to be shutting the door in your face.
Yeah, it is. Well, when we speak about these little differences, which yields up with big problems, let's say, so what might be your suggestions for who are looking for doing business in the UK or international? I don't know.
One of the most common problems I see is that people who speak English well think that they will be fine, because they confuse language with culture. So one of the most important things I would say to people is, even if you speak really good English, it's not going to be the same. It's not business as usual coming to work here. So do your research before you come. Do some reading about the business culture here, about the foundations and sort of British culture and history, if you like, of British culture and values. Understand how and why people do things differently, and anticipate that it's going to be different. In addition to the language issues, I think the other most common problems are that people don't anticipate difference, and then when they encounter it, they don't know how to deal with it. So
Then they feel that people don't understand me.
that's right. And also one of the worst things is that we jump really quickly to judging right or wrong. And we don't say, oh, well, it's interesting that they do it that way in England, unlike the way that we do it in South Africa. They just think, oh, it's wrong the way they do it in England. And then immediately there's a negativity in the relationship. But actually, if you think of culture as a bit like a language, that, you know, if we went to Germany, we would assume that we'd have to speak German. And we would go into a German restaurant and there would be lots of traditional German dishes. And nobody has a problem with that. But why would we expect business to be done the same way everywhere? You know, all corporate culture is informed by national culture. So it's not surprising that business is done differently in different places. So I would really say to people that, you know, well, for a start, don't overlook the importance of having good language skills. And if you're thinking about going to work in an English-speaking country or any other language which you don't have, start taking some language lessons, you know, just to be able to have a basic conversation with people. It shows a lot the efforts that you've gone to, that you're really interested, that you're serious about this. To be able to go into a banquet with Chinese clients and to be able to raise a toast to them at the dinner, little things like that can go you know, a long way. So you know, work on your language, do your research, prepare for difference. And, you know, focus on the end game. So I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Cultural Chemistry, Simple Strategies for Bridging Cultural Gaps. And I'm originally a coach, so I work as a coach and trainer now. And I created a model in the book called the 4 R's. So the 4 R's stand for rewards. So what's in it for you? What's to be gained? You know, all coaching starts from this goal setting of, okay, it's worth investing my time and my money in this because there's lots to be gained. So next R is research. What do you need to know? You're going somewhere completely different. You need to understand how people communicate, how they build relationships, how they negotiate. You know, how do you build your pipeline? How do you actually go out and start meeting clients? How do other people do it? Can you talk to other people who've done it and learn from their experiences? The third R is reflect, and that's really about sort of following on from what I said about judging right and wrong. It actually, how do you respond to difference? Are you open to doing things differently? Or do you think, oh, you know, yeah, I can do it this way, but my way is much better?
Take it impersonal.
Yes, that's right. Do you take it personally when you invite someone for lunch and they keep saying no? Or do you actually understand, well, okay, that's not the British way to do that. So that's fine. I won't keep pushing it. So that's really a self-awareness piece. It's understanding how you are responding to difference, but also recognizing what it is about you that other people might find different and difficult.
And it's also one of the secrets of the real and successful business at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. And thinking about, well, how can I build rapport with people if I'm somebody who always likes to sort of be near people and be very enthusiastic and sell with passion, but actually I'm talking to somebody who wants the data, you know, and they want the hard line evidence on this. Well, I'm wasting my breath and I'm wasting their time.
It is.
So I like to say we've got 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. So use your eyes and ears first. You know, look around, you notice what's going
Observe
on.
More.
Observe more, speak less, absolutely. And just, you know, take the temperature of the room, if you like, before you launch into, you know, business as usual. So I think that's really important. My last R is reach out. So when you've got to a stage where you think, okay, well, so they do it this way and I do it this way, and clearly there are lots of differences. What are some things that we can do to make a meaningful relationship anyway?
There might be a bridge between them.
There absolutely is a bridge. You just, and I often say, you know, if there are 2 people on a bridge and one person waits for the other person to walk all the way across, it's going to take a lot longer for things to get started. So ideally, if you can, you know, do some reaching out and the other person will do some reaching out, you meet in the middle.
Or you need to create a reason for him to do that research for you.
Yeah, to start walking towards you. So, and that's obviously, you know, partly the product, the service that you sell, the fact that you are appealing as someone to do business with. But it is also about things like building rapport with people, and again, back to language, remembering that if you have English as a second language, that what you say might not be what is heard.
I'm really familiar with it.
And that what you hear might not be what is
Which
said.
Is also safe, yeah.
And, the English are famous for not liking to cause offense and to let people down gently, right?
Yeah,
but we assume that people know that about us.
Yeah.
So if you come to me with an idea that I really don't like at all, and I'll say, well, what will I say, Kamal?
It's good. I appreciate.
Yes. And they'll say, interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
And interesting means there's no way we're ever doing that.
Yeah. Thank you for your time and bye-bye.
But you might think, oh, that's good. They're really interested.
It's a $1 million business behind it. No, it's not.
And it's all about, we don't like to be rude to people. But that's a really important thing to be able to read between the lines in that way. So there is always a way to make a connection. It's just very easy to jump in and assume that what we have done will work again, but there's no reason that it should.
I know. Okay, thank you for everything, all the knowledge you share with us.
You're very
These are very
welcome.
vital, and I know that before doing any kind of business, you need to know that basics, or you will waste a lot of time and probably the money that you shouldn't. So I strongly recommend everyone.
Yeah, I absolutely. And this is really about engaging with your new customers.
Yes.
So, and if you don't have that good level of engagement, they're not going to want to buy from you, because people want to do business with people that they like and that they trust.
Yes, definitely.
And
there are hundreds of other suppliers who can provide that trust.
That's right. And often that comes from somebody that you feel comfortable with. So the more that you can make yourself more like them, the more successful.
But it doesn't mean that you will lose yourself or
Absolutely
identity,
not.
but you need to understand the difference and appreciate it at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. So.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Today we were together with Patti. She shared very valuable insight and information doing any international business at any country. And we will have more guests in the near future.